On this Saturday night, peace talks and renewed threats. 3 months into the U.S.-Israel war on Iran.
The talks have been productive. I think they know where it needs to go.
But the U.S. Defense Secretary isn't ruling out more strikes on Iran. Standoff at an ICE detention center in New Jersey.
This detention center must shut down.
Protests over what many say are inhumane conditions. Laos says Albertans protest the provincial government.
Stand up! Fight back! Stand up! Fight back!
More university students say they're forced to use food banks. And Canada's Stanley Cup dreams are over this year, but in Montreal, a celebration for the women's hockey team living up to its name.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Colleen Christie.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. It's been 3 months since the U.S. and Israel launched their war on Iran, and the prospects of a peace deal remain precarious. On Friday, U.S. President Donald Trump repeatedly said a deal is close, despite Iran accusing Washington of betraying diplomacy and making excessive demands. For his part, the U.S. Defense Secretary is warning Iran the American military is ready if the fragile ceasefire isn't extended.
We think we're in a good place to make that deal, or they can deal with the War Department. And we are prepared. We're postured even stronger today than we were on day one.
Vincent McAviney has the latest on the standoff over Iran's nuclear program, control of the Strait of Hormuz, and the ongoing violence in Lebanon.
Israeli strikes continue in southern Lebanon as ground forces push forward, applying maximum pressure on Iran-backed Hezbollah ahead of any potential ceasefire. In the Strait of Hormuz, ships remain idle, unable to export oil and gas to global markets. And in Tehran, new murals are appearing across the capital. Bold, defiant images aimed squarely at the United States and Israel. While the bombing that began 12 weeks ago is now on pause during ceasefire negotiations, people here are living in limbo under a regime that has only tightened its grip on power. In Washington, U.S. President Donald Trump posted ahead of his Friday meeting with advisors that Iran must agree never to develop a nuclear weapon, reopen the Strait of Hormuz to unrestricted shipping traffic in both directions, and ensure mines in the waterway are removed. The meeting ended without agreement, with the Iranians saying the U.S. is making excessive demands, but some are feeling optimistic a deal is close.
It will be great news because at least according to what is being announced, there will be 60 days to look into the nuclear aspects on which we have been working for a long time.
But on a tour of Asia, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said America remained prepared to recommence strikes in Iran if necessary.
Well, Iran knows very, very clearly what our expectations are, and that's on the negotiating team to deliver. They're coming in our direction. The talks have been productive. I think they know where it needs to go.
But with Iran adamant that its nuclear program, which it insists is wholly peaceful, is not up for negotiation, it's unclear how much longer ships like these will remain held in the Strait of Hormuz, deepening the strain on the global economy. Vincent McAviney, Global News, London.
Speaking at the Shangri-La Defense Conference in Singapore, Hegseth publicly downplayed China's growing power in the Indo-Pacific region. But that threat was front and center as he and his counterparts in the AUKUS defense pact from the UK and Australia announced plans to develop underwater drone technology.
This will rapidly give our forces the very most advanced battlefield technologies, as together we produce a range of cutting-edge sensors and weapons systems for undersea drones. This will give us the ability to detect, to deter, and to deal with threats, including to our underwater cables and pipelines, on which so much of our daily life depends.
The trilateral AUKUS Defense Pact was formed in 2021 to push back against China's growing maritime power. In Saskatchewan, the huge lobstick wildfire is still burning out of control and is expected to grow. It's south of the community of Shellbrook between Saskatoon and Prince Albert. The fire was first spotted on Tuesday afternoon. The first crews were on the scene within 20 minutes. Despite their around-the-clock efforts, the wind-whipped fire has now grown to about 15,000 hectares and has prompted a string of evacuation orders and alerts.
We urge everyone in the area to stay cautious as conditions can change quickly in both direction and the intensity of the fire. This wildfire is creating a large volume of smoke, which is also impacting crews on the ground and in the air at times.
Fire officials now say the blaze was started by a lightning strike. Daytime temperatures in the high 20s and low 30s are making the firefight more difficult. Further west, the warm weather and incoming rainstorms are raising the flood risk. Authorities are setting up barriers in several communities, including Banff. The snowpack in parts of the Rockies is twice as high as last year, and rivers could spill their banks as the snow melts. Flood warnings have been issued for much of southeast BC, with 165 properties in the community of 6 Mile on evacuation alert. The World Health Organization's director has arrived at the epicenter of Africa's Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of the Congo to help coordinate efforts to contain the disease. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus landed in Bunia today, the latest stop on his multi-day trip through the country. Speaking to reporters, he once again emphasized how vital it is for communities, both international and local, to step up during health emergencies and beyond.
More logistic support, more financial support, but while focusing on the emergency, we should use it as opportunity to build the health system, because in every crisis, there is opportunity.
The WHO has recorded more than 200 suspected and confirmed deaths in the DRC linked to Ebola since the outbreak was declared earlier this month. More than 1,000 related cases have also been reported. The White House has released the summary of Donald Trump's annual physical exam, noting the U.S. president is in excellent health. A memo from Trump's doctor says the president's cardiac, pulmonary, and neurological health is strong, and he is fully fit to carry out all of his duties. He also apparently scored perfectly in test screening for cognitive impairments or possible dementia. Trump's health is coming under scrutiny as he turns 80 next month and after 3 known visits to Walter Reed Medical Center in just over a year. Trump is also gearing up to host the UFC on the White House lawn next month, where there's word of who is not allowed to attend. According to U.S. news media, the Pentagon is seeking U.S. troops to attend the event, but only if they appear fit based on weight and height requirements specified in an internal memo. This would fall in line with recent policy set out by U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who's publicly derided military members who looked overweight. An ICE detention center in New Jersey has become the newest flashpoint over the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Protesters have faced off with federal agents for a week, prompted by a hunger strike by hundreds of detainees over alleged inhumane living conditions. Candice Cole reports.
They're making war on their own people.
They're not. They're not.
This is war.
No. This is law and order. That's what this is.
Tensions continue to flare outside the Delaney Hall Immigration Detention Center in Newark, New Jersey. Protesters who say living conditions in the building are inhumane, clashing with immigration enforcement supporters Saturday morning. This following a night of violent encounters between ICE officers and demonstrators being met with tear gas and pepper spray Friday. Just hours earlier, New Jersey Governor Mickey Sherrill announced plans to set up a safe zone for protesters to avoid a repeat of the chaos that enveloped the streets of Minneapolis between ICE agents and American citizens just months ago.
We know what ICE has done in other states, and we know American citizens lost their lives. And I refuse to let that happen in New Jersey.
The escalation in protests comes after 300 migrants went on a hunger and labor strike inside the detention center due to poor living conditions, including reports of detainees being burned by scalding hot showers and maggot-infested food.
For days, ICE has refused most of our requests, raising serious questions about what it's trying to hide from public view. Yesterday, the New Jersey Department of Health sought to inspect the site, but it was denied full access as well.
I have a court order here that allows me to come in.
Wednesday, a group of U.S. lawmakers went to Delaney Hall to see the conditions for themselves and hear from detainees.
The women told us that they were being mistreated. The women there are under attack. And they gave us a list of demands. This facility, this detention center must shut down.
Department of Homeland Security Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen denies the allegations of unfit conditions at Delaney Hall, but said, quote, it isn't a Holiday Inn. Candice Cole, Global News, Washington.
Ukrainian drone forces have released video of a string of attacks carried out behind the Russian border. According to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, the drones struck a major Russian oil processing and storage facility in Amavir, some 500 kilometers from the border. Drones also hit a fuel tanker belonging to a so-called ghost fleet of sanctioned vessels at a port on the Sea of Azov. The Ukrainians also posted footage of drones taking out 2 Russian aircraft used to launch cruise missiles. Those attacks come as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Friday that Russia was preparing a new large-scale attack. An honorary Canadian citizen and prominent critic of Russian President Vladimir Putin tells Global News the war on Ukraine has backfired on Putin's government and stripped away his strongman image. Vladimir Karamurza testified Thursday before MPs in support of legislation aimed at toughening Bill C-219. He believes Canada's foreign sanction law is key to supporting those unjustly imprisoned around the world.
And as far as I know, no country has, as of now, such a provision in its law. So if this measure is adopted, Canada would once again, as it has done so many times before, lead the world on issues of human rights and advocating for political prisoners.
Karamurza survived several alleged poisoning attempts and was put in a Russian jail for protesting the war on Ukraine before being freed in a prisoner swap. Dive teams in Laos have now safely rescued 4 more villagers who'd been trapped in a flooded cave for more than a week. These are the first moments after being freed earlier today. They entered the cave last week to search for gold and became trapped by flash flooding. The villagers were found on Wednesday, but the complicated rescue took days. 1 man escaped Friday. 2 people are still missing. A chilling threat from an organized crime group. Coming up, what the notorious Bishnoi gang says about its ability to commit terrorist acts across the country. More than 55,000 Canada Post workers are wrapping up voting today on a tentative 5-year contract and on whether to strike if they don't get a deal. A proposed agreement was reached after 2 years of labor disputes. It includes wage increases of 6.5% and 3% in the first 2 years and structural changes to the Crown Corporation. Canada Post reported a $205 million loss in the first quarter of this year. India's notorious Bishnoi gang is making a disturbing boast about the manpower it commands to commit violent acts right across Canada. As Taya Fast reports, the group has been linked to extortion and several high-profile shootings on Canadian soil, and last year was designated a terrorist entity by the government.
A chilling claim made to the Abbotsford Police Department last year is now coming to light. The Indian-based Bishnoi gang allegedly boasting it has up to 1,000-foot soldiers ready to carry out shootings across Canada.
I can acknowledge that the Abbotsford Police Department did receive a letter back in August of 2025. That letter was shared with our law enforcement partners, not only in the Lower Mainland, but across Canada.
The letter disclosed during an immigration hearing Thursday in Edmonton. According to a police investigator who testified, the letter also alluded to how every business needs to pay their tax.
Unfortunately, I just can't get into the specifics of what that letter said. That forms part of an ongoing investigation and the extortion crisis as a whole.
News of the letter has sent shockwaves through the South Asian community, already living through months of extortion threats and violence.
The community is really frustrated and afraid.
It's a shocking letter to hear those types of numbers. They are trying to operate on a premise of fear.
While the true size of the Bishnoi gang remains unclear, police across the country have made dozens of arrests tied to the extortion crisis.
Some of these same thugs that are carrying out crimes in other provinces have been operating here. So when you think about it that way, we're actually dealing with a very small number of people who are carrying out a large number of crimes across the country.
Meanwhile, Abbotsford police say extortion-related violence is trending downwards, with 13 extortion-related incidents this year.
All of those 13 incidents have been non-violent.
In a statement, BC Solicitor General and Public Safety Minister Nina Krieger says she can't comment on the letter, but says the government continues to back police efforts against extortion. Police say the investigation is ongoing as officers across the country work to dismantle the network behind the threats. Taya Fast, Global News.
Ahead, why food banks are becoming a lifeline for more and more university students in Alberta.
Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back!
Thousands of protesters in Calgary, Edmonton, and other communities across Alberta rallied on Friday for a province-wide day of protest, expressing their frustrations against Premier Daniel Smith's government. Grievances include the province's handling of health care, budget cuts, and the rise of Alberta's separatist movement, which protesters accuse Smith of enabling through October's referendum. The high cost of living is adding more pressure to Alberta's students as well. Recent data from the University of Alberta shows an increase in students visiting the campus food bank and struggling with homelessness. Catherine Ludwig reports.
It's so expensive here in Canada.
It's a pinch many students at the University of Alberta are feeling.
Student loans, there's not, and it doesn't make up enough for like living expenses or anything, so you have to work on top of that. And I'm a single mom on top of that.
Gas is killing me. Literally, I've been spending a couple $100 a week on gas, so it's that's been pretty bad. I'm looking at moving out right now too, and just prices of rent and groceries and everything. It's making it look a little bit unrealistic.
Students Global spoke with also say their tuition costs increase 1 to 2% every year, and it's been tough to find part-time jobs.
This has been a long systemic issue that has been built up over time.
The result of these financial struggles are being seen at the campus food bank. The executive director says students are needing the food bank on a much more regular basis.
If we're looking from like 2020 to 2024, it's an over 600% increase in usage.
This year, the food bank averages at 1,200 visits a month. In 2021, they had 2,600 visits throughout the entire year. The U of A Student Union is also seeing an increased struggle in housing.
2024, we saw something around the range of 3.5 to 4% of students reporting houselessness, whereas it almost doubled in 2025 to 7%.
According to a recent survey from the Students' Union, out of 3,098 students, 216 reported having unstable living conditions.
If we do not take measures across different levels of government at this time, this would certainly be a trend that continues and would affect post-secondaries negatively.
Despite the rise in the cost of living as well as the rise in tuition prices year to year, the students I spoke with on the U of A campus all say that they're optimistic for the future. Catherine Ludwig, Global News.
Next, a victory celebration for the victorious Victoire as women's pro hockey takes the spotlight. Canada Soccer took to the skies for its roster reveal ahead of next month's World Cup. The names of the 26 players who will represent Canada were displayed atop Toronto's CN Tower. Several players, including star Alphonso Davies, are recovering from injuries. Canada plays a tune-up game on Monday against Uzbekistan. Calgary's Taylor Hall and Logan Stankoven from Kamloops, BC connected on the first two goals, and the Carolina Hurricanes never looked back. They went on to defeat the Montreal Canadiens last night 6-1, securing their spot in the Stanley Cup Finals against the Vegas Golden Knights. The Habs were the last Canadian team in the playoffs. But Montrealers were still cheering today, celebrating as the hometown Montreal Victoire of the PWHL paraded through the city with the Walter Cup. Our Felicia Perillo was there.
With the Walter Cup held high, Captain Marie-Philippe Poulain led the Montreal Victoire into a sea of thousands of cheering fans. The trophy may belong to the Victoire, but on Saturday, the moment belonged to an entire city.
It feels so good. I'm like so happy. Like we came so early to get good spots, and I really hope like they sign like this.
We love the Victoire and we play ringette. Yeah, so it's really nice to see women hockey players.
The celebration stretched far beyond downtown as the team made its way from Verdun. Fans lined streets and sidewalks hoping to catch a glimpse of the champions. Hundreds gathered along the route to the main stage, and when the bus finally arrived, thousands more were waiting. Montreal Mayor Soraya Martinez Ferrada, who was on hand at the celebration, says it was crucial for the team to celebrate with the city.
Very important to celebrate the women as we do for men. And this was the baseline of what we should be doing for women's sport.
And for the team, the turnout was overwhelming. A chance to reflect on what the championship and the support behind it truly means.
You never dreamed about this, a parade with this many fans, bringing the Walter Cup to Canada, to Montreal. This is something we're going to remember for the rest of our lives.
We turned the corner to St. Catherine, and we saw everybody, and I mean everybody. You couldn't see any pavement out there. And it's like, I could never have expected that in my wildest dream.
For the players, one part of the crowd that stood out above all others, the young fans and the joy on their faces, seeing something that they can aspire to.
Back in the day, you see parents, your little girl wants to play hockey, I'm like, sorry, I don't think there's something for you there. But now, being able to support them and allowing them to try hockey and being part of the sport, it's unbelievable.
A city embracing a team, a sport reaching the next generation, and a fan base already looking forward to what's next. Felicia Perillo, Global News, Montreal.
A new source of Canadian pride. And that's Global National for this Saturday night. I'm Colleen Christie. Tonight's Your Canada is Mudge Island near Nanaimo, BC. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll join us again tomorrow. Have a good night.